Problem 10. Label the triangle. Across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Across from the question mark is the opposite, which means our third side is the adjacent. So when we set this up, we know adjacent and hypotenuse. Once again, this is going to be the cosine function. So this is going to be the cosine of question mark equals 26 divided by 27. We need to use our inverse function to type this in. And we grab our calculator or Desmos and we type it in. So we get 15.64 degrees. The 2 means that we can keep the 4 because 2 is less than 5. Problem 11. In our green cards, label the triangle, hypotenuse. Across from the question mark is the opposite, which means that our third side is the adjacent. We know an adjacent side, we know the hypotenuse, and that's going to be a cosine function. When we set this up, it's going to be the cosine of question mark equals adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So really, the button that we're using in our calculator or in Desmos is the inverse button. We type it in, and we get question mark equals 70.94 degrees. Flipping our paper over. Problem 13. Here's our picture. Label the triangle. Across from the question mark is opposite. Our third side then is the adjacent. And once we label that, then we can identify that we know opposite and we know hypotenuse, which means that that's going to be our sine function. By the way, the green cards, we are finding angles. Again, on this one we know an opposite side and we know the hypotenuse. So it's going to be the sine of question mark equals the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Is going to be sine to the negative 1, the inverse function on Desmos or the calculator. And we get 51.375, but because that 5 after the 7 is 5 or higher, we're going to say 51.38 degrees. Jumps to 16. Here in terms of the green cards, here's our picture. Label the triangle. Here's our right angle. Across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Across from the question mark is the opposite, which means that this side here is the adjacent. And we know an opposite length and we know a hypotenuse. So this is also going to be the sine function. So sine of question mark equals 20 divided by 45. If we write it using what we need for Desmos or the calculator, the inverse function helps us find what we need. So sine to the negative 1 of 20 divided by 45. And we get 26.387, so we're going to say that our angle is 26.39 degrees. 7 is 5 or higher, so we have to round that 8 up to a 9.